There's something special about your first MMORPG. Our journey begins in the fabled lands of the western plains of Karana. Now, before we disclose the journey that is in store for today's tale, we must first discuss our hero. This is Elman, and Elman is a magician. This is not to be confused with a wizard whose arcane capabilities are indeed similar, and yet of a more destructive nature. Nor is Elman among the ranks of the enchanters, whose mastery over enchantment and charm has no equal. Then again, he is not amongst the rank and file of the necromancer, whose skills lie with the profane and debaucherous arts of unlife. And although these are all considered to be a mage of sorts, Elman is a magician, and by magician I am not referring to a doddering fool who pulls rabbits from hats. The magician is a master of conjuration, able to summon the elements to his aid in the shape of living earth, fire, wind, and water. It is in fact through this technique of eldritch power that the mage is able to assert his dominance over the elements and control the living element known by the masses as an elemental. These elementals are bound to the magician who summoned them and act as both the mage's sword and shield. Also among the magician's arsenal is the use of eldritch fire and the conjuration of lacerating steel, which the mage can summon in an arcane explosion, surrounding his victim in a vacuum of magical devastation. Now we must consider the arcana that rings true amongst all of any who bear a modicum of eldritch skill. Many, if not all, spellcasters are trained in the use of divination, abjuration, and alteration, trained in the art of invisibility, shielding, and teleportation to varying degrees. But none bear a mastery over conjuration to the magnitude of the magician, the summoner, the conjurer, with all the skill and arcane understanding that is required to turn nothing into something. This is what a magician is in its essence. Now that we have a rudimentary understanding of what a magician is, we will now discuss the magician at hand. Elman's origins are not very impressive, nor are they important in the telling of this tale. It is simple enough to know that Elman is a magician, and a respectable one in that regard, at least amongst his fellow adventurers and colleagues. Suffice it to say that he hails from the city of Quenos, a city on the western coast of the continent of Antonica. Both of these facts also have no bearing on the telling, but it is worthy of note if one is so inclined to query of his origins. Elman is an adventurous magician, not a homebody hermit whose arcane capabilities are wasted poring over ancient scrolls and words of power. That is not to say that Elman doesn't respect those who have chosen such pursuits. In fact, he, like many of his colleagues, rely on them quite often. For it is the bookworm, you see, who creates the scrolls that are transcribed into the spell books of all who use magic. This invaluable profession can be found all across Norrath. These spell scrolls are often purchased by the adventuring spellcaster to add to their growing power. Elman is no different, and relies on them to further his skills of the arcane arts. But Elman is a young mage, and that makes him a dangerous one, for it is the young and naive that crave power. Suffice it to say that Elman is also a human, and that too plays a role in his conquest of the arcane arts. For humanity is not the lofty high elves of Felwith, whom are timeless in their studies of magic. Nor do they possess the engineering of the gnomes, who construct eldritch devices to aid in their pursuit of magic. No, for humanity is often considered amongst the dullest of arcane blades. Even the Yordites, a branch of humanity, and yet removed enough to be their own people, house a degree of arcana that trumps that of the human spellcaster. All of these factors held no regard to young Elman, mind you, for the young and impetuous mage was on a path to power, and the pursuit of power can oftentimes lead to misery. This misery is often not suffered by those with power, but perhaps in the telling we may examine those who have suffered at the hands of the powerful. Now that we know the who, it is suitable that we discuss the where. Our tale begins in the western plains of Karana. Elman is very familiar with this location, but perhaps you, dear listener, are not. Allow me to elaborate. Karana is a vast place. A journey across just the western part of this rolling farmlands can consume one's entire day if traversed without magical aid. This ripe and furtive farmland is teeming with homesteads and the wayward merchant. Its soils are pitch black and supple, making it a prime location for the farmer's hand. It is here upon the inky soils that the peasants toil in the mud and shit for endless hours, doling away the days for the production of grains and livestock for the province city of Quenos. Karana is considered the fruit of Western Antonica and is the lifeblood of Western civilization. But it is also a place of wayward dangers and villains, a place where the unwary can discover their demise in short order if their sense of caution is abandoned. For you see, evil has seeped into the hearts and minds of the locals of Karana. This villainy has taken the form of a gang of bandits that has overthrown the once peaceful farmers and their homes. This ilk has spread their influence into the city of Quenos, and it has come to the attention of the Paladins Guild. There amongst the Paladin leaders, one of noble birth has called for a bounty upon any who bear the bandits' mark, a crimson sash to denote their loyalty to this organized crime. Elman the magician has answered the call, and so our hero has traveled from the bright streets of his home city to quash the bandit menace. Settled quaintly off the main thoroughfare of the Karana road lies a farmhouse. Once a place of contentment and free-spirited labor, now lies a house of ill repute. It is here that Elman's war on the bandits began. It is here, amongst the creaking timbers of a once proud family, that his crusade ensues. For the bounty of bandit sashes is no small sum, you see. Its rewards are that of bronze weaponry and platinum, and a magician needs platinum. The bookworm spellcasters have monopolized the trade of magical scrolls, and to say that they are expensive would be an understatement. So the promise of platinum is a tempting enticement indeed, especially for the traveling magician whose fingers find the holes in his coin purse more often than not. What comes next is for the speculation of the moral man. You see, Elman is not concerned with his reputation amongst the peasants of the field. He cares little for the sash-bearing mother, whose corpse he has engulfed in eldritch fire, nor the son who is flayed by lacerating steel. For to bear the crimson sash before Elman the magician is to die. Now it is worth mentioning that Elman holds little regard for the morality of the situation. He is not a vengeful man, nor is he bursting with a weeping heart for the meek. Elman the magician is a practical man, and considers himself among the intelligent and the wise. To clarify, Elman is intelligent enough to know that a tomato is a fruit, but he is wise enough to keep it out of the fruit salad, simple and logical. In the simplicity of his logic resides the foundation that bandits and farmers wear sashes, and sashes pay in bronze and platinum coins. So they die to the profit of his coin purse. Many would consider this an act of villainy, others an act of justice. But Elman cannot be bothered to care one way or the other. This moral conundrum is lost on Elman the magician. For as we have already discussed, sashes pay in platinum coins and spells are expensive. Although this speculation could bear fruit to the value of a farmer's life in the eyes of young Elman, a solidified price of the worth of a peasant of Karana, if you will, for what is the promised price on the life of your fellow man. But I digress, for if bear turds paid in platinum coins, I would be telling a similar tale, and how the druid's feelings meant fuck all. Suffice it to say that I will leave the moral judgment of this act to those with a mind to do so, and for now, stick with what is, not how it could be. Elman is a magician, simple and logical. As his skills evolve and his mind sharpens towards the greater powers of the arcane, he will undoubtedly learn and grow both in power and wisdom. But for now, both bandit and farmer suffer his eldritch wrath. For as I have stated, and as you already know, sashes pay in platinum coins, and spells are expensive. It is here that our tale comes to an end, not in the midst of action, nor with a fable's revelations, but mayhaps in the telling we have all learned a bit more about bandits, farmers, and the price to be paid. As always, a special thank you to my channel members. Membership to the channel costs $1 and helps fuel my addiction to these visual therapy sessions. And if you manage to finger blast that subscribe button during all this horse shit, I appreciate you. And remember, dear listener, real life is an MMORPG, and if you manage to get strep throat and are considering making a video using the AI voice of David Attenborough, don't, because I can't be fucking bothered to do more of this trash. Goodbye.